What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Don't Quote Us Sports, the podcast where the takes are bold, the stats are questionable, and the accountability is non-existent. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today's episode is a full plate of madness. We're two games deep into the NBA Finals, and things are tied up. Game 1 was Hallie's hero moment. Game 2 was SGA's reminder to everybody who the real problem is. We'll break down what's working, what's broken, and who has the edge heading into Game 3. Over in the Stanley Cup playoffs, we have double overtime, brutal hits, and Bob standing on his head per usual. The series has been chaos in the best way. We'll talk stars, storylines, and why Florida's defense might be the most violent thing on skates at the moment. Over in the NFL, we got plenty of news to discuss. Jair Alexander, released by the Packers. Nick Chubb finds a home. Trouble in the Big Apple already. We'll catch you up with all the news from around the NFL this week. And then lastly, we will continue our NFL team preview with the Baltimore Ravens. We'll discuss who they added, who they lost, and why this might be Lamar's most high-pressure year yet. The defense is nasty. They still got Derrick Henry, but there are real questions. Are they contenders or just pretenders? So buckle up, let's get into it, and remember, don't quote us. Seriously. Fellas, how are we doing? My beautiful co-host, Big Rob, Herb.
What's up, boys?
What
What's up,
is
fellas?
up, fellas?
Just another beautiful Monday.
Hey, we're here. We made it through another weekend, boys. We're back. Episode, is this 6?
We're on 6 now. This is week 3.
Hey, we're doing it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm surprised. But we're doing it.
It is. Loving it.
I'm like a ChatGPT
Locked in on
savant at this point. It's crazy. But
I tell you what, I don't know if we would have made it this far without AI.
yeah, definitely taking over the world. I have definitely jumped on that bandwagon at this point. Or at least if you're in social media design or graphic design, you're completely fucked. No way around that one. But fellas, let's get into.
Rob's already got that super chip computer implanted in the back of his head.
No, I'm not going to do all that. I have a supercomputer in my house. That's about it.
Nah, you told me you got the chip put in 2 weeks ago, brother. You're already seeing in Snapchat filters daily, 24/7.
Nah, that will be a thing someday, though.
Little severance action.
You could be one of the first. Be a pioneer in the field, my friend.
They already have a couple, don't they? The one guy? He's playing video games
You could
with
be
it? 'Cause you
next. Get involved.
Nah.
But fellas, let's get into it. We have not talked since the NBA Finals have started, or at least the pod hasn't heard us talk about it yet. And we've had quite the series already. Starting with Game 1, one of the most electric finishes we've seen in the NBA Finals in a hot minute. The last situation I can think of that was similar was Curry's buzzer beater and LeBron's chase down block in the finals against the Warriors a couple years back. But yeah, Pacers stole that one. Should not have won, but comeback kids once again. I think nobody's surprised at this point. Pulled that one out. And then we had Game 2 yesterday where the Thunder showed why they were the best team in the NBA. Shea got back to doing his MVP things, dropped 34, also set a record for most points with 72 over his first 2 finals games, besting Allen Iverson's rookie record. But I'll open up the floor to you guys. What are your initial thoughts with how this series is going thus far? And can we expect it to continue to be as exciting and as electric as it has been, regardless of what the sport or media outlets are trying to tell you with the fan ratings?
For me, I think the first game was great. I watched it all the way up to the last second. I thought it was a great experience from a fan perspective for basketball. You're right. The Pacers, it looked like they were out of it. I feel like they were down 10 the whole game, and they didn't lead until the last shot of the game. And it was Halliburton doing Halliburton things. Obviously, getting that shot, doing a little shimmy, hitting that shot across the right elbow. Um, that was great to see. As far as the game yesterday, it just kind of was out of reach for the Pacers the whole game. No one really was shooting well. I think the announcers kept hyping on Halliburton's going to have games like this. Halliburton can have games like this in order for them to win. And to a certain degree, I agree. I think game 2 was no one really stepped out into the limelight and took over the game for them. But in their defense, in game 1, I mean, I think they had almost 8 people in double figures. So to me, it seems like if the Pacers want to win, they have to do it as a unit. Um, Shea could fuck around and get you 42 and win you the game, if that makes sense. So um, I still think it's an OKC finals. Obviously, we've had 2 games at OKC so far. Um, but I'm hoping, man. I want the viewership to go up. I'm just hoping for the next few games. I want a long series. I don't want a 4-1, 4-1 type action.
I think the NBA wants a long ass series too. Small markets. Let's milk this thing for every commercial 30-second spot that they've got. They're dying for a 7-gamer.
Oh, I have something on that, boys. I'm gonna let you get your takes in on the game, and then I'm gonna give you my my take on the presentation of the NBA Finals, and I think the presentation has been absolute dog shit. But
He's
I
got
want
one in the
to,
chamber, Isaiah. He's ready to
yeah,
go. He's gonna
I'll
come
give you
out
guys.
shooting.
We'll do a call back to that here in a few minutes. I want to get your guys' takes on the games, and then I'll go into the presentation.
Herb, let's hear it.
Got my thoughts on the game. Yeah, I mean, listen, game 1 was fun. Game 1 was a lot of fun. Game 2, a lot less fun. Although there was a point when I was like, oh, okay, maybe 5-6 minutes left. They're kind of closing the gap. Are they going to do it again? Are they going to find a way to battle back? And guess what? Nope. I mean, they just fell flat. We're putting bench players in the game with 3-4 minutes left. That's not an NBA Finals that anybody wants. I don't think it speaks at all to the market. I think it's, or excuse me, I don't think it speaks anything to the quality of basketball necessarily being played on this viewership issue. I think it's the small market thing, but Pacers can battle back. This is going to be a fun series. I hope that game 2 was an anomaly in this thing. I hope we see great basketball. Siakam, do me a favor, wake up. I've been fighting for Siakam for 3 rounds now? Siakam, come on, baby. You're the only guy on that team that's been there before. Act like it. Let's get involved. But I tell you what, he's a goofy little guy, isn't he? He is goofy out there, man. Just some of his movement, the way he plays basketball, you're like, this shouldn't work, and it does. It's not quite like Jokic playing in the pool, with this thing happening. But Siakam plays a weird brand of basketball. I enjoy him. I need him to come alive for Game 3, please.
And Herb, I was gonna say, the one team that should not be putting reserves in down 15 or 17 or whatever it was with like 4 minutes left would be the Indiana Pacers with the postseason that they are currently having. Like, if there is one team I would put money on at this point to come back from 15 down, it would be the Indiana Pacers, regardless of how bad they were playing the entire game before that.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree. It just
Yeah,
seemed like every time.
do you think Hallie? Do you think Hallie was like, please don't take us out, like let us do this? And Carlisle was like, we got 7 games here, boys. Find the pine.
I don't know. Halliburton was starting to get hot a little bit in the fourth. Got 12 of his 17, but I felt like it was just maybe one of those energy things where Carlisle could kind of feel it on the bench compared to previous games, and he was just like, "Yeah, we'll just pull the plug on this one." But
They're just sitting there saying, we'll go home and we'll figure it out.
Like, they already won their one game in OKC. They went there with the intention of hopefully stealing one game in OKC, and they did that. So they're leaving OKC happy regardless. Obviously they wish they would have probably played better in game 2, but they got their one game. Like we talked about it on the last episode. Rob said they've got to win one at OKC. Otherwise, this could be a quick series because OKC, once they build momentum, you might not get it back with how they've played this season. But the one point that I really wanted to touch on was Halliburton's game last night because I am really struggling with what I saw yesterday because he should be the main cog on that offense. And I understand that OKC tweaked their defense a little bit and were throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him, right, to try and get the ball out of his hands. But at some point, you need to be able to manufacture offense, whether it's for yourself or for your teammates, especially because we're talking about him in kind of taking that next step in the superstardom tier. And superstars don't disappear like that, especially in the NBA Finals, where he didn't hit his second field goal until towards the end of the third quarter. Like, you can't do that, especially when you know where your Robin and Pascal Siakam isn't really carrying his weight as much as he was in the previous round. Miles Turner hasn't really gotten going yet. Neesmith and Nemhard have definitely regressed a little bit since the last round. So you need to know as the leader and the star of your team, okay, you need to play a little hero ball here. And whether or not it works, you got to do it, essentially. And that's the big thing that's standing. He just didn't seem like he wanted to grab the game at any given point, and he was very passive throughout.
I think for me, because I've done it before, but when I go to the games, after I watch them, I go and look at the stats and see what I missed. And when I'm looking at this last game, I mean, when I'm looking at the stat wise, I mean, it was pretty neck and neck as far as, shots taken, things like that. But the biggest difference that I found was free throws. I think Indiana shot 70 something percent. I think they missed 8 free throws out of 20, something like that. And then the other biggest thing was 3-point percentage. I mean, I remember watching during the game, like as a mental note, and you had Miles Turner 1 for 5, you have Nebhard 1 for 4, you had Siakam 1 for 4, Toppin 1 for 5. Their 3-point percentage, I think, was 35%. I think they were 14 for 40. They were under the impression we're shooting this regardless, baby. Shooters shoot, because that's what they did.
Whoa. Hold on. Whoa.
Shooters shoot.
I saw I saw the percentage. How many 3-point shots did the Indiana Pacers take last night?
43s.
Hey, how about don't?
Dude, that's what you're going to get in the NBA.
OKC also OKC shot
40.
36, and they were a little bit above, but it's like as far as 2 points and everything else, rebounds, all that stuff was neck and neck. But I agree with Isaiah that when I watch Halliburton play, I mean, you mentioned Siakam's been there before. We need one of these guys to take over a game, and that's what the playoffs are about. That's what the finals are about. Shea could do it, and he does it pretty effortlessly, it seems like. And I know Halliburton has shown us a lot with these game winners that he's had. I mean, I think they came back down 7 in that first game, and they won it on the last minute, won it on a game-winning shot. So he has that clutch factor. But go out there and show us something. Go get 33 in a finals game. Go get something. Just put the team on your back. Role players making some nice shots to win games, and that one game we had a few games back with Neesmith going off. Those are great, but be the star, be the focal point. The team runs through you. Doesn't run through Miles Turner. It doesn't run through Siakam. Everyone knows. What does everyone talk about with the Pacers? They talk about Halliburton. And that's who you have to be.
The other stat, Rob, I
Can
wanted
we
to
give a little?
that I wanted
Go
to
ahead, boys.
bring
I was
up.
gonna say, can we give a little bit of credit to Lou Dort real quick? Is that what you were gonna say? If you would like to go ahead and speak
It
on
kind of plays into
I
it a
don't know
little
Lou's
bit.
first, like I can't pronounce his real
Uh,
name. Oh, then go ahead.
I was just gonna point out Rob was throwing out stats there. I think the other big stat that stood out was the turnover difference. I think Indiana had damn near 20 in the first half alone, and I think um, it did not get much better in the second half. So that was just another. And I know Dort had a decent hand in that, so that was just another big piece along with points in the paint as well. But back to you, or with the Lou Dort glaze.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Lou Dort his flowers, ladies and gentlemen. I really am. They came into the series and said we got to lock down Halliburton. Now Halliburton, Rob, like you said, he has to take over a game. He has to be the star. He has to overcome great defense. But the torture chamber is real. Okay, Lou Dort, the energy and the passion in which I don't know that that dude cares about scoring a point in the single series if he locks Hallie down the entire time. And last night, I mean, Hallie couldn't get away from him. The torture chamber is real. Also, that feels like an A+ nickname.
No,
Let's put it in there. That
nothing
is an
will
A+
beat
nickname.
the Haliban that they refuse to push in the media.
I won't comment on that.
For obvious reasons. Hey,
Dude,
it's a very
I have a
volatile
job I
time in the
like.
Middle
I have a
East, man.
career
They
I
can't go
like.
pushing those buttons.
I like my career, guys. I'm going to leave that all to Isaiah.
I'm just saying that is a top tier nickname out there. That's getting plenty of push on social media, but hasn't made it to the mainstream yet. I don't think it will, but it's gotta be talked about.
Hey, torture chamber, that's up there with Gary the Glove, baby. That's up there.
But
All right, boys. Let's get into the presentation a little bit, right? It's hot on my mind. I want to get it
Hey,
out of the way.
he's got that clip locked and loaded,
Yes,
baby. He's ready. Come
yeah.
out shooting.
I sent photos of this. This is just fucking nuts. But I would say right now, and I don't think I'm alone in this. I did review and check what others feel, and if you guys watch the games, you can see it too. But just the overall presentation of this NBA Finals does not feel like I'm watching an NBA Finals. That's somebody that grew up in the 90s, 2000s, early 2010s. Just the presentation alone of, the big trophy at midcourt, the finals stripped it on the side, seeing that, whether it was on the Lakers court, Miami's court, any Celtics court, it just was a beautiful experience as far as the game itself. Now, when we talk about presentation, looking at this screenshot, I see about 6 to 7 sponsors that somehow made it onto the court in some capacity, whether that's obviously, I think YouTube TV is the primary sponsor. We got Michelob Ultra. We got the Paycom Center. It seems like all these sponsors can make it into the shot, but we can't get something that's for the fans. We can't get the trophy. We can't get, the reason I bring this up is they did hear the slack. Adam Silver commented on it. I think the last time the trophy was legitly at midcourt was 2014. They had some during the COVID years because it was sponsored by YouTube TV and they presented it. But as far as an NBA mainstay, it's been a while. And so what does the NBA do? They go out and digitally put some bullshit ass, Photoshop ass, cropped out trophy onto the court. There was even a version of the final scripted that everyone wants that was also digitally added after the fact. I just don't understand. You guys know the midseason tournament that we had. Some of those courts were out of this world, like just too much. And some of them look dope. And you're like, this is your ultimate presentation of the year. How does it look this bad? And this also plays into ESPN being the main the presenter of the NBA Finals. The halftime show is a tough to fucking watch, bro. You got You got Malika Andrews, which I'm fine with. Stephen A. Smith, Bob Myers, and Kendrick Perkins. And half the time, it feels like it's first take, which we all know what I mean by that. It's just, I think the Pacers are doing this. No, he needs to do. It's not like an actual analyzation of the game that you get from some of the presentations, whether that's former players. Richard Jefferson, I liked, did it from. And I saw people thinking about, what about bringing, like, for halftime, because you know how Draymond Green and others used to be on him sometimes. Bring in, like, people were talking about, Donovan Mitchell wanted to do it. Like, bring in somebody in that could talk about the moments during the game rather than yelling at each other. And I think the time thing for the halftime show of one of the games was 15 minutes. And I think the only actual talk time was 3 to 4. The rest was commercials. Just fitting in those, just making that money. And I think that goes into telling a story of why this is one of the least watched NBA finals since the 80s. When you take out the COVID years. And it's just, we've talked about all year long, we've talked about the NBA being in a bad spot. They need fandom, and it's just going down. I think last year the first game was almost at 11 million, and this year is right below 9. I think it was at 8.8 or 8.9. It peaked at 10, but the average was 8-ish. It's not a good look, man. It's just not. I don't know. Adam Silver's already acknowledged it. He admitted to it, that it's not a good look. And I don't like the reasoning why they removed some of the logos. They said it was a player concern and that the painted logo caused slipperiness. But when I look at the court last night, the OKC logo is just as fucking big as the trophy logo was.
And they didn't seem to have any of those concerns when they were rolling out those courts for the midseason tournament at all.
No, none of that. It said they stopped using them in 2014 for concerns about, amongst other things, player safety, as there was claims of slipperiness on the court. And ever since then, in 2017 and 2020, they did small trophies. 2017 was small trophy, and then 2020 they did a massive one because YouTube presented it. But Silver acknowledged it. He acknowledged they need to bring it back, it seems like, but okay. Right now, with as much money as the NBA has, they could fix it. You could have a court. I don't know, man. It's just, even if it goes into effect next year, it's just, I want to watch something like the Super Bowl. I want an atmosphere. I want to feel like this is the fucking climax of the season. This is 7. If it goes 7 games, this is going to be a great 7 games, presentation-wise, regardless of the play on the court. And that's just a whole nother story. But NBA, ESPN, do better, man. Whether you're an avid fan, whether you're a NBA fan that wears jerseys, buys memorabilia, it doesn't matter. Whether you're a kid 10 years old on the couch, a pop's just trying to catch a basketball game, do better. Make them feel like they're watching the NBA fucking finals and not a game 4 of the regular season.
Rob,
and that's what this presentation feels like.
What would help with that? If Mike Breen would have banged Halliburton's game winner in game 1. Don't even get. If we're gonna be bullying the NBA into doing things, we should be bullying Mike Breen into.
We
deserve that moment.
We deserved a bang at the end.
I did like that he acknowledged that. Did you guys see that he acknowledged it and said that I usually reserve him for threes. And then the next game he gave him one in the beginning of the game. He's like, "Hey Tyrese, this is my get back," like kind of like a sorry. But I like that he acknowledged it.
You missed the moment. Don't give me a get back.
Yeah. Mike Breen is the king of moments.
Don't pity
us. He's the king of these moments.
That's why when I got to look past it a little bit. One small hiccup doesn't ruin Mike Breen for me. We could have so much worse. I could have Doris Burke calling James, brother. So they could have trotted Doris Burke out. I like that she is involved and that she is a part of the NBA broadcasting. And
keep going.
But I like Mike Breen. I just think
I like my job. I like my career.
No. When I think of analytics, same thing when it comes to NFL. Like I enjoy watching Tony Romo break down a field as I'm watching. The average fan doesn't enjoy that, right? The average fan likes 1st and 10. Here we go. I like Tony Romo. I do enjoy him predicting the play. Some people don't like that. I enjoy that. So whether it's Richard Jefferson, JJ Redick used to do it. I enjoy that, like getting the little insight of the plays as they're going on. That's how I enjoy it. And I also enjoy alternate casting when they do it too, whether it's the Manning one for the NFL or if they did an alternate casting for the NBA Finals. I think that'd be dope. I'm kind of picky when it comes to announcing. But Mike Breen, cut him some slack. He'll be back, baby.
I hope so. I hope he gets another opportunity to do it. But also, I'm not going to let you sit here and not throw a massive crown upon Doris Burke's head, which, by the way, this could be her last NBA Finals. There was some hint to that. Doris Burke is
I think it's her last year with ESPN, right?
You ask any NBA player over the last 20 years. Sounds like it. ESPN's screwing up with their who they're letting go.
One last thing, guys, I do want to say on the NBA Finals. I just want to be very clear. If OKC's bench continues to do what they did in Game 2, Indiana doesn't stand a chance. I don't care if Halliburton starts playing like an all-NBA player like he is. Pascal Siakam starts running it back like it's the Eastern Conference Finals. If you have Aaron Wiggins shooting lights out from 3-point as your 7th, 8th man off the bench, I'm sorry. There is no shot, and I just want to make sure those guys got their flowers with how they played in Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, my prediction, I guess we can wrap it with that is, as of right now, I still think Indiana does get another one or two. Just feels like it. I think that they can squeeze another one or two out. But I do think overwhelmingly OKC wins this series. If we see a 7-game, perfect. If not, 4-2 is probably more like it. But I do think Indiana does get another 1-2 games before the end of the series.
Okay, let's.
I said, I think at the beginning of this whole thing, Pacers in 6 or Thunder in 6 rather. I think last night was an anomaly. I can't see Rick Carlisle allowing that to happen again. I am flipping it as of today, June 9th. Give me the Pacers in 7 to finish this thing. Indiana's going to have a championship coming home. That's my take. I have nothing, and I mean nothing, to back that up other than this little feeling on the back of my neck. So I'm flipping. I know that's like a faux pas. I'm flipping after a 17-point loss or whatever it was. Give me the Pacers in 7. They're taking both at home. Well, Rob is our resident better.
Right
Rob,
now,
are you familiar with
obviously
updated odds on who's winning this thing?
Yeah,
Indiana's
the whole thing.
+4.
The whole kit and caboodle,
yeah,
not just Game 3.
On most sites, it's +4.
Yeah.
To win the whole thing.
If you want to pick in 7 specifically, you could get it up to +980.
Spicy.
No. If you want to burn money outside, we can do that.
Can I take out a small loan? Can I borrow some money?
And then, Herb, if you want to get super crazy, we could do.
We got a burn pit ready.
We could also do series correct order as well. I would have to. There's way too many options here to find exactly the one that we're talking about. Oh, here we go. If you picked where they win the 2 games at Indiana, like you just said, we're up to +2,800 right now. I'm just put your money where your mouth is. If you're so confident with it, let's get rich.
Hey, let's not sit here and act like I haven't previously backed up my hot takes. I don't know if we remember the Rangers bet that I threw around. All right, but I showed the people what I'm about.
Do we
I
want to
put
go
a
back
bet
in
on
and give a
the
little
Rangers
update
to win
as
the
to where the
World
Texas Rangers
Series. It
are?
wasn't a big bet, but it's a bet.
Okay, so for the people at home, the Rangers
I'd
have
really
actually
prefer
gotten
not to.
worse since Herb said that. They
Surprise.
they they are now 31-35, and have actually
Yep,
they're now five and a half
that they
games
did.
back of the AL West leading Astros.
Hey, they're
If they get
battling.
there,
Okay,
but Herb,
long time till
bets
October,
aside,
baby.
let's get into
But yeah, no, give
your
me Pacers and
wheelhouse,
7, baby.
the NHL Finals. I know you have a lot to say about this series that we are witnessing right now,
Let me cook.
which has been nothing short of phenomenal. Game 2, another classic, double overtime. Brad Marchand wins it in double OT. Series tied 1-1. Everything throughout this series has been almost dead even. Shot totals, expected goals. Game 3 will be the decider. If we look back at history, the winner of Game 3 goes on to win the cup almost 70% of the time. So I don't know when they play next with the scheduling of these finals being all jacked up between the NBAs and NHL. Oh, nice.
Tonight.
Good. I'm glad we didn't have to wait 3 days for another game.
Right now.
So after tonight, we might as well crown the champ. We'll know. But Herb, I'll hand it over to you. Give me your thoughts
Well, no.
on that Game 2 thriller.
I don't know about that. Double overtime. These boys' legs are gonna be shot. There aren't a lot of young dudes who are getting a lot of play. There are young dudes out there, don't get me wrong. But a lot of these big names are older dudes. I'm still worried about Draisaitl and McDavid's legs when this thing goes 7. Just like last year. God, it's not quite a repeat of last year, but it's got a kind of an era to it that would suggest that. It's so much fun. It's so much fun watching hockey right now. I could have gone without Evander Kane scoring a goal in this series. I really could have. I'm not a big Evander Kane fan. Sorry if you are. I'm just not a big fan of him. I could have gone without him getting a goal. But no, you mentioned it in the intro. Edmonton's hitting, and Edmonton's hitting hard. But Florida's trying to hit just as hard. Dude, if you like physical hockey and you watch dudes taking shots, go ahead. As for Florida, they had opportunity. Even Edmonton had a lot of opportunity. Marchand's goal. Did you see it, Rob? Did you happen to catch it at all? I don't know, maybe in the highlights of scrolling through the talk. Brad Marchand, who, take him for what he is. If you like him, you do. If you don't, you don't. He didn't mean to score that goal. That was an accident. So I don't want to. I don't want to hear Marchand be like, "Yeah, that goal, yeah," and we haven't, thank God. But he literally wanted to go high side to the glove, and he missed the backhand and like tapped it, and it just happened to go right next to Skinner's left knee off the inside pad and in. I mean, I don't blame Skinner for that. I don't truthfully blame either goalie for the scores of these games. Defense has been brutal in these games in front of these goalies, man. Go ahead.
I don't even know if the defense have been that bad, but there have been some breakdowns that have led to a lot of these goals. But then you'll have stretches where one side is playing extremely good defense for stretches, but then there'll be a miscommunication or a broken stick or something like that, and results in a goal more often than not. It feels like.
Yeah, and I just like in the first game, it happened for both teams in game 1 and game 2. There will be a puck through the middle, maybe a loose puck, not really an intended pass, and 3D men will just look at it and watch as the other team picks it up and shoots it. What are we doing? That was kind of, and Draisaitl's goal in game 1 was set up by McDavid, no doubt, but there was nobody around him. It happened again. God, I can't remember the play, but it happened again with Florida's defense, just looking at the puck. Hey, fellas, go get it. Go get the puck, please. Hey, I'm still standing by that Sam Bennett for Florida and Leon Draisaitl. As those two guys go, their team goes. I'm sticking to that. I know, Isaiah, you gave me a crazy look when I said that last time. As those two go, these teams go. Again, McDavid, best player in the world, face of the franchise, all world. I love Leon Draisaitl. Oh, I love watching Draisaitl play hockey. Might have to give me a jersey. Might have to give me a Draisaitl jersey out of respect.
I think this is one of those series where you just have to sit back and like just take in the sheer talent that is on this ice. Because I feel like we're gonna look back in a decade or something when McDavid's at the tail end of his career and totally take for granted the shit both him and Draisaitl are doing on the ice at this point. The dude is like what? I think he's only 28 still right now. And to do what he's already done in his career, and I just want to see them win so bad. I feel like it's like the Ovi situation where it lingered for so long and people started questioning his place in the history books and everything. And I know for a fact McDavid does not deserve that. And I don't even want the conversations to get to that point. It's just, both of them are very exciting players. And when they're on the ice together, it's just like, how do you stop that?
Yeah, when they started bumping Draisaitl up to be on the same line, because originally it was McDavid on one, Draisaitl on two, because they needed a dog on each line. Well, then they're like, well, let's just get these two on the same line. And they're not doing it the entire game, but they picked their spots for Draisaitl and McDavid to be out there. I want McDavid to win one. I fear that if he does not win this one, it may be a while until he's back. And I think that's just the composition of the team that they have up there. They've got some contracts coming up. Major role players may not be there. And plus, second year in the Stanley Cup, some of these guys are going to get paid. There's going to be teams that overpay some of these dudes just because they were on Edmonton for 2 years playing in the Cup. So, and you can't blame those guys for chasing a bag, but I'm not saying they need to blow it up or, this is the end of their run. But I do get concerns that McDavid, if it's not this one, he may not find it. And then we're talking about he's the greatest NHL player to never win one. Potentially.
You guys want an update on the game?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Hit me.
2-0 Florida Panthers, baby.
In their barn.
And
first period.
In their barn.
And Herb, you'll look back at it too. You'll look back at it too and be like, if only Edmonton had a goalie for these last two runs. And don't get me wrong, Stuart Skinner has had some games to get them to this position. But it feels like when the pressure is on the most, the lights are the brightest, the dude crumbles like a bag or of like a stack of Legos. Like, it is ugly. And you guys can blame the defense for some of them.
That is not commonplace.
No, I butchered it like no other. But there's just some of those goals where it's like, dude, you're a professional goalie. Like, I know your defense is hanging you out to dry, but you gotta make that save in the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, come on, man. And then you have Bob on the other side, who I don't know how he keeps fucking doing this year after year. Like, he will have the most like lackadaisical so regular season, And then the playoffs come around, and the dude is a goddamn robot out there. It's just like he is unfazed by anything. It is crazy. Like that,
He's
you could almost
Russian. What
argue
do
that
you
Florida did.
expect?
He's got the Russian gas, I
He's
know, but it's
Russian.
like,
They beat that out of him at 12 years old.
but you could almost make the argument that Florida didn't even deserve to win game 2 if it wasn't for Bob. Like, there was times where Edmonton was just hammering him, leaving him no room to breathe, and he just
Doing what?
what did I say? Did I say something
Pause.
bad wrong again? Pause.
They were hammering him. I was just clarifying. Wanted to make
He
sure.
couldn't breathe. They're hammering.
Yeah,
Pause.
they weren't giving him any time to breathe.
You gotta have safe words, baby.
Just a lot of dudes.
Yeah,
A lot of dudes in his face, man. That's all Isaiah was trying to say. A lot of dudes in his face.
With a lot of sticks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Bob is the Great Wall of Bob. I mean, the guy is incredible. Like you said, he has a decent year, but it's not blowing your socks off. And then the playoffs come around, and it's a different.
Like
it's
he's
a different
never,
animal
like
for
he
him.
hasn't been,
He's
like he hasn't been a Vezina Trophy like finalist since maybe his early years in Florida, if not back when he was with Columbus still.
and
Yeah,
I think in Columbus he was still figuring it out.
Oh no,
To be honest with you,
he was a Vezina finalist last year for the first time in Florida. But when he was in Columbus, it was a yearly thing where he was either winning it or he was at least getting votes for it. Goes to Florida, regular season,
and it's crazy
he's a little
to say
ho
he
hum,
was still
save
figuring
average.
it out.
Yeah, he had a 9, just north of a 90 save percentage in Florida, compared to over 92 save percentage in Columbus. So not bad by any means, but he's definitely, like we said,
Yeah, I mean he's
little.
he's going to be the
He's a
reason
little
they
to be
win this whole
desired.
thing. It's still Florida's cup to lose. I think. I'm still taking Florida. They're going to take both of them at home, in their place, and then it's going to get real fun from there. If that thing goes 7, man, which very well could. If that thing goes 7, I'm telling you, this Stanley Cup is the most electric championship final in pro sporting. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Of these two series.
Hey, Rob,
that one is definitely much more likely to make it to Game 7 than the NBA Finals. Just an FYI.
I'd agree with that. Despite my pick about the Pacers, yeah, I would agree that's more likely. But Rob, you still have that pulled up? The update?
Have what pulled up? Yeah, it's 2-0.
The Florida. Who scored? If you wouldn't mind.
Who scored? Good
Yes,
question.
You're just making for some great podcasts.
I didn't know if you had it pulled up readily available. Well, I'm curious. I'm real curious now.
I don't know where to find that, bro.
Too much
Fair
work
enough.
for it was Verhage. It was Verhage.
Fair enough.
Verhage.
Marchand and Verhage.
Oh God, these guys! I think I saw a stat, and I'm fairly certain that those two are now atop the most postseason or Stanley Cup goals amongst active players right now. So that tracks really, really well. Good for them.
Hey, Herb, you want to guess how many
Brad the
minutes
Rat, baby.
McDavid has already played after one?
The entire, all but 1 minute.
He's played 9 minutes out of the 20.
Yeah, let's ruin this guy's career by absolutely knocking the legs off of him. Let's keep doing that. God,
In fairness,
what are they doing
4
in
minutes of
Edmonton?
it was because they had a PowerPoint. Or PowerPoints. In fairness.
A PowerPoint? A power play?
PowerPoints. Power plays. Yeah, that thing.
Well, I wasn't sure if they were giving presentations out there. I didn't know if they wheeled out
Sorry, I got
the
my
screen and
corporate
the
jargon
projector.
still flooding into my brain, unfortunately.
Just a lot of per my last email going on up there, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately. Let me just rope in my manager real quick to circle back on this.
Fantastic.
But
Yeah,
fellas,
but it's still Florida in 7.
let's get into what the people want to hear. And that's NFL football. We got some news in the NFL. We'll start with the signings and releases that we've seen today specifically. We'll start with probably the biggest name, Jair Alexander, being released by the Green Bay Packers, which, Rob, I'll let you speak to it more. I don't think it was catching anybody in Green Bay by surprise, but give me your thoughts on that. Do you think it was the right move? Do you wish you guys would have tried harder to keep him? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can give you the rundown. I mean, you are right. I think for the avid fan or the Packers fan, even an NFL fan, you kind of saw this coming. I know I mentioned it to Herb plenty of times about it's one of two things. It's pretty simple. Either we get a deal worked out, or we release them, and it was a matter of when we release them. And I think Goody worked and tried to make it work, but at the end of the day, they couldn't come to an agreement. Now, I do want to give a shout out to him, obviously as a Packers fan. 7 seasons up there in Green Bay, man. He was a centerpiece of our defense for the last, I think, since 2018, out of Louisville. 2-time All-Pro. Keep in mind, out of those 7 seasons, he really played 4 or 5 of them because of the injuries he's had the last few years. So and plus, the biggest thing I enjoyed about him, we're talking about him like it's a funeral, but it's my funeral as a fandom. I enjoyed the TV moments, right? I enjoyed the big hat, that interview he did with the big hat on. I enjoy the seatbelt things he would do on the sidelines. I enjoy that as a fan. So he has a personality that is gone. But back to your point of from a Packers fan, is this something we expected? I think so. I've been reading stats all day. I think it freed up almost 17 million in cap space, which relates to, I think it was right around 46 million in cap space as of right now, which is third most in the league, which puts us in a good spot. Kind of hints at making a move somewhere, somehow, whether that's going to get Asante Samuel, if Trey Hendrickson's still available, or, opens the idea of a trade possibility if we can be able to sign some player via trade. So I'm sad to see him go, but I
What
wish him
what
success, as he goes.
what player would that be, Rob? That you're
What?
doing a signing trade?
No, I think the 46 million just opens us up to be able to trade for a player, maybe give away a younger player and bring on somebody, whether that's a Hendrickson or Asante Samuel. I mean, I've seen things today about Jalen Ramsey, although a lot of people think he wants to go back to LA. But yeah, I mean, Jairi, I think he'll find a home somewhere. There's already teams rumored to be interested, including Eagles, 49, a lot of NFC teams that just makes sense. Playoff teams that just want to add depth if it's for the right price. So don't be surprised if he ends up somewhere. I just hope he stays healthy and can provide for those teams. But as far as our CB room as a whole, I'm not all too worried. We do lose some talent. We did only give up one 100-yard receiver last year, and we did add Nate Hobbs this offseason, who's a good slot receiver.
Great
And we
signing.
did draft somebody late. So I don't think it turns our defense upside down because obviously he wasn't there much last year, or the last 2-3 years for that matter. So it's my take on it, boys. Not a surprise. It didn't blow my socks off. I kind of saw it coming.
I feel like he was
So
also
dream
working himself out
dream
of that building too, with the way that he was acting within the media as well. Like he definitely wasn't doing himself any favors by any means.
No, I think he worked himself into that big deal, and I'll let you go after this, sir. But I think he earned that big deal at that point. But then 3 out of the next 4 years, you barely play 4 games a year. And there's from a fandom and from a, if you can't perform on the field, how are we supposed to pay you 20 plus million if you're not just available? The best ability is availability at that point. So it's unfortunate. Like I said, I hope he gets healthy, but unfortunately, it didn't work out up there. And see how Hobbs and Nixon and those chats do. I mean, we didn't. I don't know if Judy kind of knew it was coming, and obviously the timing of the release freed up more cap space, or if that would have changed us maybe taking a corner higher up in the draft, which I know our GM loves doing. So it's interesting to think about, but I think Goody kind of knew this was coming all along. I think he was just planning for it and waiting to announce it. It feels like.
Rob. Big Rob's hired as the GM of the Green Bay Packers. You got $46 million in cap. You've got moves to make. What is Big Rob the GM doing to help the Packers take the next step?
I think for me, and I'll express it over the time, is my GM. I'm a little bit more cautious. I understand where the team's at. As far as I know, we're, if not still, the youngest team in the league. We were the last few years. Young quarterback, young players. I'm not going all in on a Super Bowl like some of them. I'm not taking on a bad contract. I'm not taking a risk on a player that's a little bit older that might, like a Von Miller type. I'm good on all that. As for me, I mean, if you can go out there and get a Trey Hendrickson, one guy I looked at the other day, DeMarcus Walker, who played DN for the Bears last year. If you can get somebody like that that's just going to help your defense out and not break the bank, that's kind of where I go. If you're able to trade for a player that's going to be a focal point of that defense for the foreseeable future, sure. When you take on a Trey Hendrickson contract, obviously we know that it's going to be a new contract northward of $35 million probably. And I think that's what the hiccups is up there in Cincinnati. So for the Packers to take that on, as much as I'd love to have Hendrickson up there if it happens, sure. Otherwise, if you can go get 3-4 players to help that young team out as opposed to Hendrickson, then I'm fine with that too. Because we see teams a lot go after a player and then it just fizzles out and you gave that player $30 million. I'm good on that. If it's not a young player that's going to come in and work, which I think they do a good job up there bringing those guys in. But I'd be on the lookout for Asante Samuel after surgery, see where he's at. I wouldn't mind a Jalen Ramsey. I do like having a fiery up secondary. I like some secondary that's going to talk their shit. That's going to play mind games with the wide receivers. That's kind of the secondary I like. So if we can go out and get one of those cats, or I wouldn't mind bringing Rasul Douglas home. I know we kind of gave him his jump start to his career. He went to the Bills and had very, very success there, and they kind of moved on from him. Bringing a guy like that with because when having a young cornerback room, having a veteran there outside of Nixon that can kind of come in and bring in that they've been there before. They've been deep in the playoffs. They've played in the cold. Bringing Rasul Douglas home would make sense to me as well.
Rob, you're talking a lot about adding to the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Are you pretty content with where the offense is right now? Because the only reason I ask is you guys had a lot of questions in terms of wide receiver room last season. I know you guys added Golden. I don't know if that is enough for you guys right now. And then I did hear rumors of Jenkins, who you guys are planning on moving from guard to center for this season. I don't know if he's holding out, but he's for sure not happy with where his contract is. He wants more guarantees because centers don't get paid as much as guards, so he wants to make sure that he's not losing money by making this switch for the betterment of the team.
As far as me, I mean, that's a good question. I do mention defense a lot. I am pretty confident in the offense on where we're at as far as the offensive line. I do think an Elton Jenkins deal does get done. I saw a list. I think PFF might have put it out. Somebody put it out. Even moving him from guard to center, they had him listed as like a top 7, top 8 center in the league. I'm confident they can get a deal done. I think it makes sense to give him a deal. And you added a big offensive guard and Aaron Banks and Zach Tom's regarded as one of the best tackles in the league. He's going to need a deal eventually as well. Adding Matthew Golden, I can't. We talked about OTA tapes last time not being too high or too low on him. Everything I've seen, I told Herb the other day that this dude looks fast. I mean, that's all I could take away from the. And because I don't want to read too much into it, but I'm like, this guy can move, and it's like same thing with our other draft pick in that wide receiver room with Savion Williams out of TCU. I mean, that guy just seems like a gadget tool that you can have. Not to mention we added McCole Hardman, who's also a speedster. But as far as the wide receiver room there, it's a lot of – I think that they can have a healthy competition to be wide receiver 1. I think right now the depth chart is Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, and Jaden Reed, which I'm pretty comfortable with because obviously Christian Watson's coming back from injury, and everything I read on Dontavian Wicks is he has as much potential as anybody, but he can't apply himself, a.k.a. he can't use his fucking hands. Outside of that, bro,
he's a receiver that can't.
The amount
catch.
of drop
He's
balls, they're like he can run
himself.
routes like crazy, but when the ball gets there, he can't take it. Our running back room too has been thin. I do want to shine light on that. Josh Jacobs is a beast, obviously, but ever since Aaron Jones and those guys left, we haven't really had a comfortable wide receiver or running back 2. We did draft a guy in the 3rd round last year that no one's really talking about, and that's Marshawn Lloyd out of USC, who was.
Hey, I got him on my dynasty team. If you could get him in the lineup, that'd help.
He was regarded as, in a lot of people's draft last year, he was regarded as a top 5 draft pick, and for the running back position. But again, TBD. I have no fucking idea, bro. He was injured all last year. I have no fucking clue. Yeah. But as far as Tucker Kraft, I don't have any qualms there. And obviously, Jordan Love is Jordan Love. So,
which do we really know what Jordan Love is at this point? Because I still have. I'm just posing the question because
Let's think he had. Get your popcorn ready, folks.
We can end the conversation really quick.
I think he had a really good season 2 years ago, and then last season he regressed a little bit. I'm not going to say he was bad last year, but he regressed.
The guy couldn't move due to injury. But to end this conversation, I will say your favorite stat in the last time we talked was QBR. Mm-hmm. And for the last 2 years, I would love you to look up the top 5 in QBR because Jordan Love is right there in the mix, baby.
Let's see. I don't know if I can find it fast.
No, you can trust me. I promise you. Potential there, great.
He's like, I want sources.
I'll provide them. You guys know I'll provide them.
I want the real stuff.
I'll provide them.
I know you will.
But yeah, the potential's there, bro. You know how hard it is to find a franchise quarterback in the league, and I think Jordan Love is that. Obviously, there's high expectations with the quarterbacks that we've had the last 30 years, and I've been very blessed, and I want to acknowledge that I'm very lucky to be able to not have a lot of franchise quarterback issues that a lot of teams do have, and I do acknowledge that as a fan, but I make up for it in other areas of my fandom with being a Suns fan and being a Cubs fan. So, yeah, offense I'm not as worried about. Defense, because it is always the playoffs and shit like that. Our defense fucking shits the bed. And then we give up, all the playoff highlights I'm thinking of in the last 15 years has been, Fitzgerald running across the middle and catching that ball and going yard. And both of the defense wins championships. You saw what the D-line did of the Eagles to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That's what changes games. Offense is great, obviously, but you need that defense to step up. We need some D-line to step up. Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. The dude looks like Hulk without a shirt on, but without his shirt off. But I don't know if he can apply himself. He had a broken finger. He talked about that, but I think you could still play D-line with a broken finger. But potential, man, that's the kind of theme of this year is potential. and then just applying it is
Okay.
how I see it.
We really went down the Packers rabbit hole.
He asked me if I was
on
a
that
GM,
one.
and that just opens a book of fucking worms, baby.
I know. But in other NFL news, we had Nick Chubb finally signed
Give me my
with the
flowers.
team.
Give me my flowers, please.
Yep, Big Rob first to report Nick Chubb to the Texans. I think you were up in our group chat
Just
about
an
10
insider,
a.m.
baby.
this morning, and it didn't get announced until
Just an insider.
I was
later
I
in
was
the
a
day.
few hours before it hit Schefter and Rappaport. I won't reveal my sources. They want to stay anonymous. But go Joe Mixon
I'll,
and Nick Chubb.
I'll be honest. The move to me really doesn't move the needle at all. Don't get me wrong. I love Nick Chubb. I think like character wise and everything, he's one of the best players in the NFL. If we talk about just character wise, but I hate to say it, with how he performed last year, coming off of the knee injury and then ending last season with the broken foot, I think his body is starting to catch up to him, especially with the way that he runs. I just don't know. I definitely feel like his best years are behind him, and I don't know how much he's really going to be able to help the Texans at this point.
See, I'm the opposite, man. I think
the NFL fans.
Go ahead.
I think the NFL fans. I think we all want Nick Chubb to be good. I really do. Like, I don't think there's anybody rooting against Nick Chubb at this point. But I mean, that knee, it's tough, man. I want Nick Chubb to be great. And if the Texans, obviously they saw something, deal up worth up to $5 million on a 1 year. If they can tap into even a portion of what he was, I think that's only going to propel them forward. And that's tough being an AFC South rival, being a Titans fan. But go Nick Chubb, please, please. Football gods, let Nick Chubb be great.
See, I agree. I think I agree a little bit with Herb. I think it was $2.5 million. I think with incentives it could be $5 for 1 year for a backup running back. Who says no? At least that's how. Even if there's any lick of potential and which is there. I mean, I've been watching his workout videos, which everyone knows what those entail too. But if anyone could bounce back from an injury, it's Nick Chubb. I mean, from college to the NFL, he's had multiple injuries that could have been career enders for a lot of players. But you're right, Isaiah, too, is when is that one injury just it? And I don't know if we're there yet, but it's $2.5 million worth a shot. Even if they get, because you got to think too, is with the Browns, he was the bell cow, right? And if the Texans can mix that running back room up enough, and instead of getting 25 carries a game, he's getting 10 to 12. You give him a couple series in there, I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't mind it at all. So good luck to him. I hope he bounces back. I hope he has a comeback player of the year type potential. That'd be great. He seems like a great guy and deserves it. I wouldn't mind it at all.
Yeah, but on top of the not being the bell cow, which I do agree will help him, it's the fact that we have no fucking idea what the Texans are doing in terms of their offensive line. Uh, that definitely will not be doing Nick Chubb any favors, because for how bad the Browns are, their one bright spot was their offensive line for the most part, outside of injuries last year. But now he doesn't have the line to run behind. He's coming off all these injuries now. It just, I don't know. I agree. It makes sense for 2.5.
Let Nick Chubb
Yeah,
be
let him be
great.
great, baby. Let him
It
bounce
makes
back.
sense for 2.5 mil. I'll take the risk. I agree. I'm not.
Be a fan.
I'm not trying to be a
Hey,
hater.
Deshaun Watson's
I'm
making
being,
$46 million, baby. Come on.
I'm being a realist right now. That's all.
All right.
Other NFL news: Jermaine Pratt, I think, was another who was released by the Bengals. Sorry, I think that was also not catching many NFL insiders by surprise. He had requested a trade after Cincy fired the defensive coordinator earlier this offseason, and then Cincinnati drafted 2 linebackers in the April NFL draft. So I think the writing was kind of on the wall with that. They do save some money for their salary cap. Maybe they use some of that to sign Trey Hendrickson. Maybe not. Who the hell knows at this point? But I'm sure Pratt will land on his feet pretty quickly. He wasn't atrocious by any means. I just think there was some other behind the scene things going on with that one. But I think those were the big transactional moves from today. But I do know Rob has some OTA news. He is salivating over. So I'll let him kind of run through those.
Yeah, I mean, these will be quick fire, boys. Feel free in between to chime in if you like. Otherwise, we'll go through it together. As we all know, it looks like the Giants, another OTA session was ended early due to fights. Looks like pass rusher Brian Burns and left tackle James Hudson reportedly got into a scrap where the two pushed and shoved, leading to them taking off their helmets and squaring up. So not only that, but on the very next play, we had Thibodeau and Jermaine Elemonor got into it, and Thibodeau took a swing at the veteran offensive tackle. So culture-wise, if I remember correctly, this is, again, off the top of my dome, the Giants had some issues last year during camp. The culture, to me, it's a culture thing. I like Brian Dable. I really do as a coach. I don't think we've seen him shine yet. And I have faith in him, but it's got to be – I don't know how you guys feel, but if that's happened and you have your leaders get in fights with other leaders on the other side multiple times, leading to the head coach having to end practice because it's that bad, that just screams to me that the leadership isn't there. At the end of the day, you come to work, you put any of that stuff aside, and you put it out on the field. I don't know if you guys want to add to that, but that's just my take on that.
Oh, I
Go
sure
ahead,
do.
big boy.
As a former offensive lineman, I sure do. Two things on that. One is about Kayvon Thibodeau. There were conversations about, are the Giants going to take Abdul Carter in the draft? And if they do, what does that look like with Brian Burns and Thibodeau and now Abdul Carter? I think things are going to sour with Thibodeau and the Giants. This may be the spark that starts, hey, let's move on from this guy. You've got options. Teams will take him. I like the play on the field, but if you get in that big of a fight at OTA's camp with truthfully a bright spot in your offense last year in Jermaine, Kayvon, like, it's time to go, dude. We don't need you. We don't want you. That's not the culture that needs to happen in New York. I like being scrappy. I like getting after it, but dude, you're swinging on people. And listen, I'll be the first to admit, I've gotten in plenty of fights at practice. Okay, not proud of it, but it happened. There's a point. There's a limit. A fight should not end practice. But my second point to that is, and Isaiah, I don't know if you saw the clips. I know Rob for sure saw the clips. Did you happen to notice that the O-line was a little bit slow in rallying to their guy?
Yeah,
And I'm not advocating for a brawl on the field, but like, that's a unit, right?
typically you see the position group usually gets together as a unit. Also, the defense versus offense. But yeah, you typically see the offensive line stick up for theirs and theirs, if you know what I mean. I just think it's a culture thing, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, and two of my favorite O linemen for their play on the field, not necessarily who they are as people, but their play, was a guy named Jake Locker, okay, and then a guy named Richie Incognito. Granted, it was in Miami. There's all that controversy, but they did an interview with those guys in camp, and those two didn't put up with this type of shit. Like, if you fucked with the center, you fucked with a right guard, congrats. Now you're fighting Richie Incognito and Jake Locker. Give me that mentality. Not necessarily, I'm not looking for the fights. They're counterproductive. They're destructive to what you're trying to get done. You like the passion, but to a point. Give me that energy out of the O-line. Like, when I was playing, you fuck with one of them, you got four more coming right at you. Like, I didn't see that out of the O line for the Giants, and that truthfully is concerning for the long term. Of like, if you're that O line coach, I'm playing that back and forth in meetings, going, where the fuck are you guys at? Get involved. You mess with one, you get the other four. That's how an O line should operate, both on the field and in those moments. Again, not advocating for brawling on the field, but stand up for your guys, for God's sakes.
The only thing I'll say is Kevin Thibodeau even good enough to be doing shit like this in OTAs? Like, I can understand it more
No.
in like training, like when we get to training camp and we have some joint practices with other teams and whatnot, and it happens. I can understand that. We're in OTAs. They don't even have pads on at this point, and this dude's coming off a season where he had 4.5 sacks, and they just signed probably the best defender that plays the same position as him. Like, is he really in the right mental headspace right now to just be like, yeah, now is the time to be throwing punches?
I think he is really good. I think he only played half the year last year, and then the year before that, I think he had in the teens sack wise. But to Herb's point earlier is where does he fit? Because you have Abdul Carter, you have Brian Burns up there.
And Dexter
You
Lawrence.
know where is it fitting? And that's when they took Abdul Carter, I was like, and they went and got Brian Burns last year. I was like, are we just signing as many big name D linemen we can get on this roster? So if they were to, if they let's say they do say he is a concern as far as the culture there, I think they could trade him very easily if they wanted to.
Yes.
I think he is a start.
There's
He
a
is a
market
starter
for
in
him.
the league. And he's only 23, 24 years old. So it's not like we're talking about a 30-year-old guy causing issues. He's young. Obviously, I think there's stuff there that can work. Obviously, I have no clue what went on and what was said. Um, and maybe he feels some type of way about them drafting Abdul Carter and going to get Brian. I have no idea. But I think he can be a starter in the league, whether it's with the Giants or anyone else. I think there's a market for him for sure. It's very, very hard to find a DN. I mean, the Packers especially. It's very hard to find a pass rusher that can put up 10 plus sacks a year. It's not easy.
I guess I was posing it more from the perspective of just based off the season that he had last year. And it feels like he hasn't really hit it off with the New York market fan wise and kind of coach wise a little bit as well. If it made sense from a locker room perspective more so than from a performance or potential perspective.
He is a 5th overall pick, so he's got to live up to it at some point, hopefully.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, though, if I'm Jermaine and you try to bitch me like that in a practice, we're having a real conversation in the training room behind a closed door after that practice. Just me and him. You ain't gonna do that out here. Not to a vet like Jermaine who has proven his salt as a O lineman in this league.
All right, boys. Moving on. We will move on here. Couple more things here. I did want to mention this. It's not huge news, but it is something noteworthy. CJ Stroud has yet to be at OTAs or camp. This doesn't seem like noteworthy to most fans, but when you think about that offense and what we're looking at, I'm going to give you a little rundown of at least their depth chart at this point. I mean, a lot of this, especially with the younger quarterback and newer wide receivers, it's all about timing and it's all about repetition. We see it right now with Cam Ward and Restrepo down there and Titans. They obviously have that chemistry and it shows. Doesn't have. We're not going to have that time to build that. And when we look at this wide receiver room outside of Nico Collins, most of this wide receiver room is brand new. Went out and drafted Jaden Higgins in the 2nd round. You drafted Jalen Knoll in the 3rd round. Hey, shout out Iowa State. And then you also went and got Christian Kirk from the Jaguars. I'm not done. Justin Watson from Kansas City and Braxton Berrios from Miami. So that is 5-6 new guys that take up majority of your wide receiver room. Now, I don't know if he's throwing, just not formally at camp or if they were working out at any point. I know that the coach had hinted it was due to soreness and that there was no concerns. But I think that the repetitions starting now are going to lead to wins and big plays in the regular season. So hopefully he can get back. I don't know the timetable on that. I think that's a decent wide receiver room, so hopefully they get some repetitions down there. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I saw
sure.
it as like whatever. He's going to play week 1. But you bringing up that point, I did not realize how brand new that receiver room is, and I think we consistently hear about like quarterbacks are taking guys out to Palo Alto and down to Florida, and we're throwing for 2 weeks, and we're getting the gel going, and maybe some of that happened, maybe some of it didn't. That could be monumental. Those reps are so important with that many new receivers, especially with 2 rookies. You're gonna have to rely on them. Draft them in the 2nd and 3rd round. You're just gonna have
I do
to.
want to add to his point, Isaiah, before you give yours. Like that off-season work we see a lot of. I mean, that's how the Rodgers and Metcalf. I mean, they were working out a month ago, even before he was announced that he was going to the Steelers. So I just think that timing and stuff like that just plays dividends come regular season.
Yeah, and I feel like we've been bashing on the Texans a lot in these couple of episodes that we've recorded, but it feels like it just keeps stacking upon themselves, and then we're gonna look back at the end of the season and be like, the writing was on the fucking wall back in June of how this season was gonna go for them, and that's what it feels like right now. Like you've had so many poor moves from that organization. They are figuring out the best way to fumble the CJ Stroud rookie deal. And then his injury on top of that, which I don't even know what his injury is. I don't think we're concerned yet of him missing any meaningful time, but I can speak for the Vikings, who are my team. I sure as hell wouldn't want my starting quarterback injured in June. That's just me personally, though.
Yeah. And Rob, what is it you always say? Bad franchises do
I make
what?
bad decisions, baby. That's generally what
I guess
happens.
time will tell for the Houston Texans, huh?
I do like the Texans. I like CJ Stroud, but they got a defensive minded coach down there. Sometimes that offense doesn't make sense to me when I watch them play, but hopefully they figure it out. The last one, boys, I have before we get into our team of the week, our team of the episode is this is just a fun one I wanted to show some light on. So Seattle, what's coming out of their camp is that Darnold is struggling a little bit. Shout out Minnesota Vikings. It looks like
Jesus.
Milroe is shining a little bit, which obviously was their draft pick. And we did talk last week about not being too high or too low on OTAs, but Darnold hasn't looked great. And the reason I bring this up is back in 2012, they had a rookie on the roster by the name of Russell Wilson. And they also...
Hey, Rob, what round was he picked in?
6th.
No.
Try
again.
Am I a Seattle fan or am I a Wisconsin fan? Neither.
I figured you might know off the top of your head. The fact what you're gonna say that makes it even better. Russell Wilson was drafted in the 3rd round. You guys want to guess what round Jalen Milroe was drafted in?
3rd round.
There you go. Okay, continue with your point.
Thanks to adding to my point, Isaiah. That is actually goes into it. Matt Flynn, shout out Green Bay. He came in for the Packers on a rookie deal, and the Seahawks gave him a chance. I think at that time they gave him a pretty decent deal, 2-3 year deal. I think it was like $7-10 million a year, which at that point, 2012, was a decent deal for a quarterback. Obviously not big money, but what ended up happening is Russell Wilson came in and obviously took over for Matt Flynn. The point of this is I saw an article where there was a lot of Seattle fans or 12th man, whatever they want to call themselves up there. We're just talking about it, and it's something in their back of their mind is some things repeat themselves. But I don't have high faith in Darnold up there. I didn't have high faith in Jalen Milroe in college, but I think Jalen Milroe does have potential. But up there too, they have a defensive-minded coach. I don't really know who their offensive coordinator is off the top of my head.
Clint Kubiak.
Yeah.
What are you scoffing at me like that for? I'm just stating a fact.
That is a football blue blood.
Either
I'm
way,
just saying.
Seattle's got to figure it out. It's funny because, like, obviously they've knocked the Packers out of the playoffs, and Russell Wilson was on a tear there up with the Legion of Boom. It's just weird to see a franchise like that. Back to my point earlier about franchise quarterbacks. It's hard to find when they had Geno for a couple of years, and now they're looking for theirs. But don't be surprised if Seattle's on the struggle bus for a few years.
Yeah.
Hey, don't quote us, but Rob is saying that stars are aligning and that Milroe will take over
And lead and win a Super Bowl.
I didn't say any of that. I didn't say any of that.
You were inferring all of it.
Quote us.
You guys took what I said.
There, you alluded to it
and went on.
No,
with
you
that.
inferred it with that fact.
I can't.
I love it. That's a take. I love
any of that. But
Rob, I will agree. It is never a great sign when your head football coach has to come out in June to back their free agent quarterback signing and reiterate that the dude that they just paid $30+ million a year to is in fact their starting quarterback.
Bro, I just looked up Clint Kubiak. Or I don't know if you're getting him confused with somebody else, bro, but that was the offensive coordinator for the Saints last year. And I don't know if you watched Saints football last year. That was fucking dog shit.
Hey, in fairness, he had to start Jake Haener and fucking Spencer Rattler for a majority of the season.
Jesus Christ. Seattle's in trouble, boys.
But what I'm saying, like, is his father not Gary Kubiak?
Correct.
That it's a name in the NFL coaching world. I'm trying to give him his flowers there, but that Saints offense was brutal.
Hey, in fairness, he was with the Vikings for a couple of seasons before the Saints, and we weren't half bad.
That makes his resume worse.
I don't think he was really the rhyme or reason to what our offense was doing, but he was there. He was definitely there.
He was there.
I think
he had an eye on it.
I think Kevin.
He had his finger on the pulse. Maybe.
I think Kevin O'Connell gets any credit that the offense gets thrown their way for good reason. But he was there. Fun fact. That's the only reason I know that he's in Seattle. But yeah, we'll see. If nothing else, it would be fun to see Milroe play, just because he's an electric athlete. Don't know if he has the chops passing wise in the league, but he'll be electric. That's for sure. He'll make some plays. Whether it's enough to win games, who knows? But it'll be fun if he ever does get a chance.
All right, boys. That wraps up OTAs updates for me. Let's go ahead and get into our. Unless you guys have anything to add, let's go ahead and move into our team of the day.
Yep, I got you. So we continue the train ride through the AFC North. We're stopping in Baltimore today. Shout out my good friend Chaz, the only Ravens fan that I know out there. Last season, they do it again, 12-5, first in the division. That seems like it is a reoccurring thing ever since Lamar Jackson took over. But in terms of moves in the offseason, not a ton to report, honestly. They did add DeAndre Hopkins, who will be more of a depth signing, probably plug in at wide receiver 3 or 4 on the team. Then they had Chidobe Awazi, the cornerback from Tennessee, formerly with the Dallas Cowboys, which could be a decent signing with where their secondary is at this point. And then Joseph Boom, he is an offensive tackle, was starting the last couple of years, or was a swing tackle for the Rams the last couple of years. So it'll serve as a nice depth piece there on the line in case of injuries. Departures, Justin Tucker I think we all know
Shout
of
out
the
massages.
scandal going on there, and we can probably maybe touch on it. I don't know. Um, he's not there anymore. I have no idea who they replaced him with, but probably not going to be somebody as good.
They drafted a kid.
Okay, we'll see if that pans out for him. Michael Pierce, D tackle's gone. Marcus Williams is gone, which I think is actually a relief to Ravens fans at this point. Draft wise, Malachi Starks they got at the end of the first round. I thought that was a great pick. He was talked about as a mid to upper first round pick at points during the draft prep season. Fell down to the end of the first, so I think that's a good value pick there. Uh, Also, same thing with Mike Green. I think there were some character concerns with him. D end out of Marshall, he dropped to near the bottom of the second round. So again, great value. And then they drafted a couple of linemen from LSU and Tennessee, and then a linebacker from Cal as well. Whether or not any of those guys get any meaningful snaps outside of special teams this season, I do not know as of this moment. But the first two picks, I am a fan of. But with the moves that the rest of the division has made, I'll turn it over to you guys. It doesn't seem like they might not have done a lot, but it doesn't feel like the other teams did enough to overtake them at the top of the division. But I'll hand it over to you guys. Give your initial thoughts.
I'll take it away, Herb. First, I think you hit on it. They didn't have to do a lot here. I think adding DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, it seems like he's showing out at camp and things like that. I think that's a positive. There's really no negative there. I guess I don't know his contract situation. But when you look down the roster, they're pretty confident in their starters as it stands, which is a good thing, right? I think they have a lot of young talent on the team. And then I think pairing Malachi Starks, at free safety with Kyle Hamilton, I like Malachi. I looked at his tape a lot during the draft process. I liked him. And Herb's former corner, Awuzie, I like him out of Tennessee as well. Man, when you look at their depth chart, a lot of their backups, they had a lot of draft picks, with Mike Green. They went out and got some depth in the corner position. Um, I like TJ Tampa as well. I know he's backing up Nate Wiggins, which is going to be hard to overtake that as a first round pick. But TJ Tampa seems like the Ravens fans are liking what they're seeing out of him. And something that wasn't really talked about, I know he fell in the draft, was Jay Higgins, the linebacker out of Iowa. As we all know, I'm not an Iowa fan, but he really showed out for Iowa. He kind of fell during the draft process. But he is listed along another Iowa State linebacker as two guys they went out and got this year. Other than that, Justin Tucker, I think they wanted to distance himself from that, which is good for them. You could kind of, I don't know if it was really affecting Tucker on the field or not, but he wasn't the same Tucker that we're used to seeing. That could be aging, could be a lot of different things. But they did go out and get a kicker in the draft. So good for them as far as that goes. I think they got one of the best kickers, the one out of Arizona. But as far as the Ravens, I like Harbaugh. I like what they're doing up there. I think they win the North. I think that's no surprise to anybody here. With how we broke down the Bengals, and I think they go another 13-4, 14-3 on a good year, 12-5 type beat is what I'm seeing, and it's going to be up to Lamar Jackson to get over that hump, to perform in the playoffs, to step up. To knock a Josh Allen out of the playoffs, to knock a Patrick Mahomes out of the playoffs. You can win MVPs, sure, but it's time to nut up or shut up when it comes to Lamar Jackson. And I have all the faith in the world in him. I think he's electric. I think he's great. So let's see what the Ravens can do. I'll pass it over to you guys to give your take.
So I want to preface mine by saying I cannot stand the Baltimore Ravens. I respect what they are as a franchise, but being a Titans fan, there's some real bad blood there, and it's really hard for me to root for them. But I'm going to be unbiased. I'm going to sing their praises. I think with the addition of a Woozy, getting a Malachi Starks, who I think is going to be your day one starter paired with Hamilton, which, wow, that safety duo is going to be incredible. I love their secondary. Even not even the starters. And one of Rob's boys, who I think is destined for a come up, TJ Tamp out of Iowa State, the kid they drafted last year. I really like the way that kid plays football. He's in a crowded room. Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton, Starks, Woozy, him. He's going to get some play. He's going to play some corner, slot corner. They also have Marlon Humphrey in the secondary. Like, they're building a no-fly zone as hard as they can. I just don't know how well that's going to translate in the North when it is a predominantly, especially late in the season, we got to run the ball. Well, you lost Michael Pierce, and my big concern for them is, what did you do at interior D line? Yeah, Mike Green's going to get after the quarterback. Cool. Who's stopping the run? There's some running backs in that division that you're going to have to bring down and stuff. Do they have enough up front? I don't know. On the offensive side of the ball, Rob, I couldn't agree more. It's Lamar. He is the face of the franchise. You have to shoulder the weight of this thing, dude. Go out there, play, be a freak. You can't fall asleep in cold games because it's cold, Lamar. You just can't. And somebody we haven't mentioned yet. You guys still know Derrick Henry's running that rock back there, right? I don't care how old he is. Derrick Henry is fun to watch. Obviously, Titans fan for a long time. Long time. I love Derrick Henry. He's incredible. And real quick with Derrick Henry, did you guys happen to see the Adam Sandler and Derrick Henry thing?
I saw it, but I didn't watch it.
Did either?
I,
Adam Sandler has made a promise to Derrick Henry that if he rushes for 2K, he will put him in a movie. Hey, Derrick's prime, baby. Derrick's ready. Derrick wants to be in the next in Happy Gilmore 3. Okay,
That's
that's a kind of a cool.
that feels
film.
a little greedy from Adam Sandler. It's not like Derrick Henry has already ran
2K is a lot.
already ran for 2,000 yards twice. Only guy to do that. Let's just do it a third time. Fuck it.
At what, 32?
Yeah,
30?
32. Yeah. But I will
being 6'3", 250 pounds.
I will say Derrick Henry is the one running back I will put all my confidence in that he will continue being a beast until he's done. You know, there has not been one sign of him slowing down if it's not for injury. It sure as hell isn't any defender out there or defense that's stopping him.
yeah, Derrick Henry's interesting.
Yeah, and you
Go ahead.
go for it.
I was going to say, obviously,
sing his praises. I love hearing
Derrick Henry's doing a Derrick Henry. I like to see him succeed. It seems like he's a great person. I want guys like that to be successful. He seems like a hard worker. Seems like that guy. And I've seen a lot of interviews of him with Busting on the Boys and things like that. He just seems like a good dude. It just makes you wonder, man, if this guy's doing it. I think he's going to be 32 this year or at the end of the season, or prior to the end of the season. And it's like, this dude to be doing this. I think he put up, almost 2K last year. And you're just like, just the consistency of this guy, like Isaiah said, barring injury, is just crazy. And especially watching him play. I remember multiple games last year texting Herb being like, Henry's got 30 yards and it's, almost into the third quarter. And next thing you know, he breaks off a 60-yard run. And 2 drives later, we're sitting at 130 yards or something like that. And you're like, okay. It's just, you pair that with the threat of Lamar Jackson. I mean, they have something special up there, man, and nothing's changed. They didn't lose anything too drastic. It's just up to them to kind of get over that hump, and that hump's big for the guys up there in Baltimore.
Okay, since we are talking about Derrick Henry, I had to look up his stats real quick, and I'm actually kind of fucking pissed right now to realize or find out that he's only been named AP All-Pro first team one single time and AP All-Pro second team twice. And he's had seasons where he's rushed for Jesus Criminy Christ. For 1,500 yards, 2,000 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards, 1,900 yards with double-digit touchdowns in every single season. And he's been All-Pro 3 times. In what goddamn world? Sorry. That was my little tangent. But back to the
Let me hold on with Derrick Henry, because this could get nice right here. I'm feeling nicey right now. Last year in my fantasy chat, there was a heated, arguably weeks long conversation, and I want to pose this question to you guys. Obviously, the Titan in me, Derrick Henry is one of my favorite players of all time. Is Derrick Henry the best running back of this era of the NFL, basically since Adrian Peterson? Is he the best guy to have done it, say, for the last 15 years?
Well, that would be concurrent with AP's career. So are you saying since AP or taking AP into?
Okay. Sure. Well, I mean, when they were both, because they had 2 years of your crossover. AP was a shell of what he was.
Henry came in the league in 2015?
But is Derrick Henry
2016.
is he the best running back of this era of the NFL?
Yes. I think that's a dumb question.
Hands down, no question.
It
got hot in that.
Who are the other names
chat
that they were throwing out there?
Christian McCaffrey. Fuck you mean?
I wish my memory worked. McCaffrey was certainly in there.
That's a horrible. Yes, he had 2 really good seasons, but we're talking about consistency wise. Derrick Henry has been doing it for years now. It is almost a foregone conclusion that he's putting up at least 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns every single season.
Yeah, but CMC, man. I agree. I think Henry takes it, but CMC does it receiving and running, bro. It's that guy was putting up 20-plus touchdowns.
So much.
Yeah, and injuries has hindered him. I think a couple, 4 seasons it feels like. But when he's hot, he's fucking hot, man. I think last year was his 2,000 yards, right? And 21 touchdowns.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then, if that's an easier one, let me ask a harder one. Is he top 20?
All time?
Is he top 15? Is he all time?
Without having the list in front of me.
And Isaiah just read it off for us. The consistency. Are you putting him up there with some of those names?
Let's run through it.
And I'm not saying he's top 5. Yeah.
Let's run through it here, and we'll start at the top. These are in no specific order. I'm just going by all-time rushing yards right now, and just say if you think Derrick Henry is above or below them. Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton,
Below.
Frank Gore,
Below.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's better than Frank Gore. That's the first one we can agree on.
Yeah, he is. Frank did it for a long time. Yeah, Henry's better.
You got something to note here before we move on is you got to keep in mind that Henry's with this list. Isaiah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but with this list, as of right now, Derrick Henry is 19th all time in rushing yards.
Yep.
So, and he's also almost 32
this,
years old. So it's like, is he going to obviously reach the top 10 in rushing yards? I don't know, but go on.
He most likely, if he has a regular season for him, he should be top 10 after this season because he only needs 1,300 yards to pass Dorsett for 10th. But so we got Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton. I think we can all agree are higher than Henry at this point. Barry Sanders higher than. I would put AP above him. Curtis Martin is 6th all time right now in rush yards. I would actually put Derrick Henry.
No chance.
You don't think?
Yeah. Derrick Henry is substantially better than Curtis Martin. Substantially.
LT. I have LT still.
Whoa! Back it up now. Hold on. You think Curtis Martin? You would rather have Curtis Martin than Derrick Henry in terms
So
of
at the same, Curtis Martin
just
retired
football?
at 31.
You
Hold on.
think Curtis Martin is that much
Curtis
better?
Martin retired at the age Derrick Henry is right now, and he has that much
This
more
is facts.
yards than Derrick Henry. I think you're sleeping on Curtis Martin, maybe because he was a Jet, but this dude was out there in a time where a lot of people weren't doing it. Except his last year where he only played a half a year, he finished every season at 11, 12, 1,400 yards. Not to pair that with 90 touchdowns.
Rob, in fairness, he does have 1,200 more career rushes than Derrick Henry does.
All right, boys. Come on. How many touchdowns does Derrick Henry have? Derrick Henry has more.
So
Derrick Henry has 106 rushing touchdowns. He also smokes them there.
But they're the same age.
Hey, I can appreciate you standing up for Curtis Martin. It's not close, though. I can
for you to
appreciate what
not
you're
say
trying to
he's
do,
close.
and I get it. It's
At the same age, he has that many
I think
more
it's Derrick Henry
yards.
by a long shot.
Yeah, with 1,200 more carries.
What are we talking about here?
We're
Because
talking
he was
Did
given
Jets
the ball
not throw
more.
the ball the entirety of Curtis Martin's career.
We're talking about a dude that averaged 4 yards a carry to a dude that averages 5 yards a carry. I'm taking the dude that averages 5 yards a carry.
In fairness, if Derrick Henry falls forward, it's a 3-yard gain. I mean, to be fair, he's a massive human being, but for me, Derrick Henry, and it's not as close as you would suggest for me.
Go
Rob.
on. I do want it to be noted. I do want it to be noted. I do not agree with that take.
Curtis Martin is closer to 15th than Derrick Henry is. Let's put it that way. LT, I think we're all in the same boat. LT's higher as of right now. Jerome Bettis, he was Derrick Henry before Derrick Henry.
That he was the bus.
That one's a close one. I would not be.
And Jerome gets to hang his hat on the Super Bowl too. Jerome gets to hang his hat. The fact that he's got a ring.
Yep. I wouldn't lose sleep if you have Bettis over Henry still at this point. Eric Dickerson? Maybe. Again, won't argue either way. Tony Dorsett.
It's hard not to take ED because of having
guys are crazy.
The single season record.
I am.
Oh, so you're taking Derrick Henry over Dorsett or Dickerson?
I'm taking Dickerson, boys. You guys are fucking high.
Yeah,
I said that one was close. I wasn't like for sure.
It's extremely close, and if we have to lean one way or the other, ED holding the single season rushing record gives him the nod over Henry. Rob just really liked the goggles, the rec specs.
He's a 4-time first-time All-Pro. He came in second MVP 3 times. He finished over 1,800 yards almost 4 times. You guys are.
Rob, I don't think either of us said that we were definitively taking Derrick Henry.
It's not even close
over Dickerson.
I love Derrick Henry, but it's not fucking close.
Who said it wasn't close?
No, neither of us said it wasn't close.
No, it's not close.
It is definitely
not close.
I think it's close.
Oh my god!
After this pod, I want you boys to pull up his Pro Football Reference and just let the bold lettering just pop out at you.
I mean, in fairness, half of
All right, one
half
more
of the running backs playing during that time were part-time plumbers. So
in the 80s,
I would hope he was leading the league.
In the 90s. Come on, bro.
I don't know about the 80s.
Okay.
One more, Isaiah. Who's the last? Tony Dorsett? Is that who you're saying?
You can do Tony Dorsett. You can do Jim Brown. You can do Marshall Faulk. Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen, I'll give you. He only had a 2-3
I think
year.
He's better than Dorsett. Jim. I'll take Henry over Dorsett.
Yeah, I agree. I would take him over.
Derrick
Marcus
Henry
Allen.
is a legend of the game.
Take him over Marcus Allen. Probably take him over Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk. I have.
Hey, respect to those guys, but Henry's a different animal.
So yes, I do. I do definitively think he is top 15 of all time already.
I'll
as
give
of
you
this
that.
point.
I'll give you that.
With the potential to get into the top
I
10.
don't even think it's a question he gets in the top 10. I think the question more so is, can he get the top 5? Which, if he has another 2 years at just average Derrick Henry years, and I definitely think it's in the realm of possibilities. No question. Okay, we just got fucking derailed right there. Back to the topic
Sorry, it had to be asked.
back to the topic at point here, which is the 2025 Baltimore Ravens. Can either of you guys explain to me how we go year after year after year after year, and the same thing that we're constantly hearing with the Baltimore Ravens is they need a receiver. They need a guy out there on the edge. So then when we get to the playoffs and Lamar's having to mount a comeback, he's not throwing to a goddamn 5'9", 170-pound soaking wet Zay Flowers. He has a fucking beast that he can go and make a contested catch when it matters most. I feel like it has been a reoccurring thing ever since we all realized Lamar Jackson is quite good at football. And yet, year after year, we're still asking the question, when are they going to get a number one receiver? And don't take this as me bashing on Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is a very good wide receiver. You can see the chemistry him and Lamar have, and he has a role in the offense. But I think they need a dude like Anquan Bolden back in his time with Baltimore, like a receiver like that. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I know he loves throwing to his tight ends, and he has 2 really good ones right now. But I am a firm believer where if when you are in your window and you know what you need, go make a move and get that piece. And it's like they're trying to be too smart about it. Like they're outthinking themselves almost.
I think for me, I mean, no slouch to Zay Flowers. He's a first-round pick. I think they have tried to make that happen, but it seems like I think over the years you got to think they with Lamar they tried Hollywood Brown. Obviously, Rashad Bateman's there. Sammy Watkins, Duvernay.
I feel like
they've gave it a try,
feel
just
like
now it never works out. And so I think they
I feel
followed
like they're constantly going with a bunch of washed dudes. Like they're bringing in Odell Beckham. They're bringing in Des Bryant. They're bringing in like these dudes that are very like DeAndre Hopkins this year, for example. And no no hate on DeAndre Hopkins, but I definitely think he's on the downslope of his career. Rather, he's definitely not in his prime like he was. You know, it's like what I'm saying is a dude that is middle of his prime beast. Like, why weren't they in the running to go get DK Metcalf? Or I know George Pickens wouldn't make sense being traded in interdivision, but a player like that though.
See, for me, I think when like you think about Rashad Bateman, who was drafted a few years ago, first round overall, or not first overall, but first round. Zay Flowers was a first round. Marquise Brown or Hollywood Brown was a first round pick. So since Lamar's got there, they've made the effort to go get him first round picks. Whether the chemistry doesn't work out, the player doesn't work out, I don't think that you would struggle to find another team that's taken more first round wide receivers. Just like think of obviously it's known for the Packers, but like the Chiefs. There's been a lot of
It's like the
quarterbacks.
Giants and DNs.
A lot of quarterbacks in the league don't get blessed with 3 first round picks in their first few years in the league at wide receiver.
But at the same time, shouldn't the Ravens at this point take a look in the mirror and be like, maybe we can't evaluate wide receivers and stop doing that and just go pay somebody that has proven that they can do that.
I like Zay Flowers. I don't like Rashad Bateman, but I like Zay Flowers.
I like Zay Flowers.
I
Speaking of Rashad Bateman, he did get an extension.
See, and
you guys didn't see.
I think that he did get paid, so they must believe in him.
Yep.
Maybe more so than us casual Ravens viewers, they must believe in him. I haven't seen it yet. It wasn't like some crazy contract, but they paid the man. He got a little bag there, so good for Rashad. But yeah, I agree. At some point you got to look and go, how are we evaluating guys? I think the addition of D Hop only helps him. I don't think it's going to hurt him. I think it's going to bring some real leadership to that room with your 1 and 2 guys being that young and not really having a veteran to look to and learn things. D Hop's a fucking technician at the wide receiver position. That addition is only going to help Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, thus helping Lamar.
I think when you have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely on the roster too, that definitely takes away from the wide receiver position. And you see that with teams like the Chiefs with Kelsey and whatever team goes wide receiver, like Josh Allen with Kincaid and Knox. It definitely doesn't glorify the wide receiver room when tight ends have years like Mark Andrews has had up there with the Ravens. But I mean, they give Lamar the tools. If you're giving a player first round picks and they're not working out, like you said, they got to either reevaluate their draft process, whether it's scouting or whatever the case may be, or it's a connection issue. Lamar can't just get a connection going, or it's the play calling. I have no fucking idea.
I think the big thing is it seems like the wide receivers that they have brought in or drafted, right? It's the same archetype where it's a small, speedy guy for the most part. Why can't they bring in a dude, just a big bodied dude? You know, that's what I guess. Like I understand, like they have weapons already, but they don't have a dude on the outside in that archetype, a big body receiver that can go up and make a tough contested catch. I guess is my point. And I feel like looking at Lamar's play in the postseason, I feel like that's an element that's missing for him.
I think I've said it before, but I think the big body wide receiver is definitely the last few years has been hindered in the NFL. I mean, even when you think of a Justin Jefferson and guys like that, I mean, they're 6', 6'1". So even the best wide receivers in the league, are usually 6', 6'1" or under. That the Mike Evans era of the NFL is just it's so rare to see a big body wide receiver be successful. And you see it with the Packers drafting Matthew Golden. I think he's 5'10" or 5'11". It's just I don't know if it's a normal thing, if it's a trend. I have no idea, but it seems to be something the NFL is doing lately.
But when you do find them, I feel like they do tend to be good. DK Metcalf, for example, Marvin Harrison, potentially. I won't say he's for sure yet, but Megatron when he was around, like
Michael Pittman, baby.
Guys. Hey, he did have when he does have a quarterback, he's not bad. The one final thing I did want to bring up and discuss with you guys real quick on the Ravens, and this kind of will play into our final record projections or predictions, is the gauntlet that Baltimore has early on in the season. So I'll just run through their schedule up until their week 7 bye. So week 1, they are at Buffalo. That will be a tough Sunday night game. Week 2, they got a cakewalk with Cleveland. Then week 3, at home, Monday night against Detroit.
Easy dub.
Week 4, at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. Week 5, at home against the Texans. Week 6, at home against the Rams. And then they're bye. So there is a very real possibility that Baltimore could be heading into their bye at 3-3 at best, potentially 2-4. But they could be behind the 8 ball quick.
I see them at 4. I think they're going to be at 4-2 going into their bye. I get it. I get what you're saying, Rob. I don't know that it's an easy win, but I think you and I agree the Lions are probably going to have a down year with all their losses. Are the Rams going to ram? Is Stafford still got that magic? 4-2 up to the bye. That's where I'd have them.
Yeah, I think I'm similar to Herb. I think the Chiefs, to me, this stream's nut up or shut up, right? You're playing the Chiefs up front. You're playing the Bills in the beginning of the season. This is a chance for you to prove yourself. But those out of all the games, I'm not worried about the Lions. I'm not worried about the Rams. I think they could drop one or two of those, being one of them the Chiefs or the Bills. But I'm not too concerned with the Ravens overall.
Okay. Well, Rob, you already gave your Ravens predictions or prediction. I think you said 13-4 or 14-3, potentially. Are you sticking to that, or?
Yeah, I think the low is 12-5, 12-5, and the high is a 13-4 type season. I just think it makes sense if they lock something up early. They might drop a game late due to players resting and stuff like that. But yeah, 12-5, 13-4. I think that is the Ravens' way.
Okay, so they got the Ravens over under at 11.5 right now, and I think that is kind of spot on where I was going. I was thinking 11-7, 12-6, and they'll probably get it done in the AFC North.
Rob, I think you hit the nail right on the head. It is a nut up or shut up kind of season for the Baltimore Ravens. Whatever they do in the playoffs, they do in the playoffs. Regular season wise, I think they are going to be dominant. I think Henry's going to have a great year. I think Lamar is going to continue to do what Lamar does. I think it's 12, 13, 14. 14, honestly, I could go with 14 wins in a season. Then we'll see what they do in the playoffs because they can't seem to figure that out very well. I think they're a 14 game winner.
Yep.
And I hate saying it because I don't like the Ravens, but I'm going to give them their flowers when they're due.
Yep.
It could very easily be a 14-win season.
You want my hot take?
Hit us.
I don't think the Ravens make it past the divisional round.
Duh.
I don't think that's super
that's
hot.
Have you seen the
seen
Ravens in
them?
the playoffs, bro?
In the playoffs?
Because it's not good.
Well, I guess maybe not hot, but we keep talking about it. It's a nut up or shut up type season.
I thought you were going to hit us with that, like they ain't making the
that's what I thought.
playoffs this
No.
year. They're going to be out of the wild
No,
card. I thought we were getting spice.
No, I don't think they make it past the divisional, but I also think that may result in them potentially moving off of Harbaugh at the end of the year, just to bring in they gotta change something.
Take.
Obviously,
That's a
He's
hot
a lifer,
and
brother.
I love Harbaugh, but at some point, it's just something's not working. You got to make a change, and they've done the offensive offensive coordinator thing, and they're still finding themselves in the same position. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, this goes back to Thibodeau. I mean, we're firing a guy that's 2 years out of a conference championship. I mean, let's say they do go and make the playoffs but get knocked out. I just think it's so hard in this day and age to fire a coach that gets you to the playoffs year in and year out. Obviously, they don't get over that hump, but he's done it before, right? He's won rings before, so I think it would be very, very hard to.
A ring.
He didn't win one. Was Ray Lewis with someone else?
Yeah, that was with Bill. Where the fuck his name is? Bellick. Bill Bellick or something.
I mean, for them to fire him, it would have to be, bro. I think he's beloved in Baltimore. I think they love him up there. It'd have to be a tough move for that to happen. I could see Tomlin getting fired before they fire Harbaugh. That's just my take on it.
All good.
I think those two guys are on the same status. It's when they want to be done, they're going to be done.
Well, fellas, to Herb's favorite part of the show to wrap up, just go around the horn with whatever you got. Empty the clip.
Kick it off, Herb.
Yeah, am I going first? UFC 316 happened over the weekend, boys. I think we may have seen – I enjoyed watching the fights. I didn't watch them live. I'll give you credit. I got home today and watched a bunch of the replay. Sugar Sean O'Malley might be coming to an end in the UFC, and that hurts me to say because he's so fun. Tough loss. You hope he bounces back, but I think Sugar Sean, you might be finished in the UFC. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You've had a hell of a career. Um, it's been tough to watch the last couple, buddy. So that's all I have. I don't have a whole lot going on over the last couple days here. So UFC 316, shout it out.
Isaiah, you got
Robert,
anything?
Robert, I'll let you go.
Shit, boys, I don't got shit going on. I'm just excited for football to be back, man.
I'm just at home, bro.
Bro.
Hey, how many days? Do you ever count down already?
Last time it was 90. We're probably sitting right around 85, 86, give or take, with college being a little bit sooner. I'm excited for Iowa State to play over in Ireland this year against Kansas State, so I'm looking forward to that. Otherwise, I'm just looking forward to football, man. I'm just honed in on football, what we're looking at, especially with the NBA Finals, and obviously we know my hockey take, but I need that juice, man. I need that sports juice, and right now I'm not getting it. So I'm just excited for football to be back. I tried to tune into UFL the other day. I think it was their playoffs. Tough watch, boys. I respect the game and respect what they're doing out there, but it's from a fan perspective, it's not a good watch for me. It's like watching the WNBA. But shout out WNBA. They had tickets for $3. I like that they're bringing those tickets down to
Bad.
I like that they're bringing the tickets down to they're making budget friendly tickets for the inflation and things like that. So shout out to WNBA. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Sports are it's a weird time every year that sports is just in a downtime. And luckily the last few years my sons have been in it, so it makes it a little bit more exciting for me. But right now I'm just kind of coasting until August, September.
Well, I had the opportunity to go to the Savannah Bananas and see them live in person when they were here in Charlotte. So they had two games, Friday and Saturday. They had sold out both nights, so over 150,000 fans came out to watch them. And obviously, I've seen them a lot over social media, just popping up a lot. And I was kind of hesitant. I thought it was pretty gimmicky. Like, I had gone to Globetrotter games before growing up, and yeah, they can be fun, but I was also a child when I went to those, so that might have played into it a little bit. But I will be completely honest, that was one of the most fun times I've had at a baseball game before. It is just non-stop action throughout the entire game. Like, there is no downtime whatsoever. Like, I didn't want to leave my seat to even go to the bathroom because the clock doesn't stop running. And in between innings, you got dudes that are warming up and they're filming TikToks, or they have fans on the field doing some type of challenge, or they're just, and the players are walking through the concourses during the game, handing out flowers to little kids. And I don't know, like, the entire thing was just so well put together, and they really do go by or live by the whole fans first experience thing. They are truly doing what they can to make it a memorable experience for every single person that attends those games. And it's just fun. Like, a dude comes out on 15-foot stilts or whatever, however tall they were, and takes a plate appearance. That's just so fun, just so funny to me. And you got dudes out there in cowboy boots or cowboy hats, cutoffs everywhere, crops. It's just fun, you know. And I think it brings eyes to the game of baseball that I think MLB itself has been struggling with, as we all know, over the course of the last decade or two, you know. And if this gets the younger generation back into baseball a little bit, I'm all here for it, you know, because it was my favorite sport growing up, and to be able to like just go put on a glove and throw the ball is still something I really enjoy doing. So if that can, if this experience can do that for some other little kid out there, I'm completely for it. But I guess what I'm getting at here is if you have the opportunity, make sure to check out the Savannah Bananas. It is definitely worthwhile.
Not for me, boys.
Shout out to Jesse and Emily Cole they're the owners. They're the owners. Shout out to them for doing what they did. 5 years ago, they were playing in some busted up minor league stadium, and now they played at the Panthers Stadium, right? Yeah, I mean they're selling out Fenway. They're selling out Wrigley. Good for them. Congrats to Savannah Bananas.
Good for them. It's fun, man. I'm glad that people go and enjoy it. I'm glad Isaiah was able to enjoy it. I'm glad kids enjoy it. But I got TikTok at home, boys. I can watch TikTok in my hand, so I'm fucking good. I have Backstreet Boys and Apple Music.
Hey, we might have to take a pod field.
You couldn't pay me to go to a Savannah Bananas game, but I respect.
We might have to take a pod field trip to a Savannah.
I'm glad people enjoy it.
Herb, I know what we can do. They have a thing called Bananas at Sea or something like that, and they do a cruise ride.
Yeah, I'm good, bro.
With the bananas. Let's take Robert.
Yeah, we're going.
You can even bring your daughter, Rob. It would be a perfect family vacation.
The great thing about my daughter is she doesn't want to be at the Savannah Bananas any more than I do. So I think we're good. But I do. I don't. Not to throw. I don't want to. I want to. I do respect what they do. Like you guys said, I respect it. I think it's great for baseball. I think it's good for kids. I think it's a family atmosphere. I enjoy it as far as everyone can enjoy it. It's just not for me. Do want to make that a
we'll keep trying to grease the wheels on that one.
Not happening. They're stuck, bro. The wheels broke. The wheels broke.
Yeah, he'll be a banana. But
hey, if he doesn't want to be a banana fan, he can always be a Party Animals fan.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hell yeah.
That's right up your alley. But thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Don't Quote Us Sports. Make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, any of those things. Just click a button on one of our social media accounts. That'd be awesome. And make sure to tell your second grade teacher to give us a listen when you talk to them next.
She cares. She wants to know.
Exactly. But we will catch you on the next, on the flip side, the next episode, whatever you want to call it. Peace.
Bye.
Oh my. See you.
Okay, there we go. Oh wait, I need to stop.